What's up everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at a cheap camera lens. It's not the cheapest lens I've ever looked at, but it is pretty cheap. This is the 35mm f1.6 E-mount lens by MCO Plus. That's the brand. If you're interested in checking this out or you want to purchase one, there's going to be a link down in the description. This lens comes in a few different mirrorless mount options, but the one I got is for Sony E-mount. Now this lens here will run you $75, which isn't the cheapest lens out there, but it is still pretty cheap, especially when you consider comparing it to like a G Master or L Glass or anything like that. Of course, there's no autofocus with this. It's manual aperture, manual focus, and it is tiny. So this is it here on the Sony a6500. As you can see, it is ultra compact. It's got kind of a cool little ridged focus ring there and a D-clicked aperture. Both the focus and the aperture move very smoothly. It's made completely out of aluminum. Even the lens cap here is aluminum. It's got a nice metal mount on the back side of it there. Feels like it's very, very well built. While it's not the cheapest cheap lens you can get, it certainly has the build quality to back up the price tag. And as you can clearly see on the box, it is made for both portrait and landscape photography. So this is your one-stop shop for all your lens needs. But on a slightly more serious note, let's answer the question that comes with every single cheap lens that comes out. Does it suck? Well, let's go head down to Charleston, South Carolina and shoot some stuff with this and see how it looks. So everything you saw in that little sequence just now was shot on this combination here, Sony a6500 and the 35mm MCO Plus lens. I thought it looked pretty good, and the 35mm focal length with the APS-C body makes for a nice kind of all-around shooter. You can pretty much shoot anything you want with it, and it's a pretty good focal length. The f1.6 let me get some of those more shallow depth of field, more cinematic kind of shots, and it really added the value that you're going to want to see in this lens, which is that bright, fast aperture and the shallow depth of field that is so coveted by so many photographers and videographers alike. Speaking of photography, let's check out some pictures that were taken with this lens. Now, there are no contacts on the back to transmit any information to the camera. So you're not going to get any of the focal length or aperture information transmitted into the camera, so you're not going to be able to reference that in post what you shot the image at. So it is going to be a little bit challenging for me to recall exactly what the pictures were shot at. Most of them were shot wide open at f1.6, but occasionally they were stopped down to between f2 and f2.8. So taking a look at the f1.6 images, they're not so great. In fact, they're not really good at all. They're pretty much acceptable for social media or for snapshots, or if you're going for a very specific shallow depth of field kind of dreamy look as far as the sharpness of the image goes. There's lots of kind of smearing and blurring, especially on really high contrasting subjects, and it's really going to be challenging to get any real fine details out of anything shooting with this lens at f1.6. But stopping down to just f2 or f2.8 is really going to sharpen up the images, and is where this lens really shines, is stopped down just a little bit. It's still bright enough and fast enough to get those faster shutter speeds, as well as a little bit better low light capability, but still producing very sharp images. Occasionally you'll use this lens at f1.6 if you really need as much light as possible, but it really isn't the best place for this lens. So who is this lens for, really? Well, I think this would be a good lens for somebody that wants to try a manual focus lens and a manual aperture lens. They're just kind of fun. They kind of connect you with your camera. I personally really enjoy shooting with them, and could also be a good thing if you're looking at getting one of the multi-$1,000 35mm lenses out there and you don't know if you'll really use the focal length. This here would be a pretty cheap investment to make sure that you'll actually use the focal length, or if it is the look that you want. It is, however, a crop sensor lens, so it's designed for APS-C cameras. It will not cover the full frame sensor, and you will get vignetting just like in this example here, which is slightly more severe than usable on a full frame camera. So if you've got a full frame camera and you're looking at this lens, just don't bother with it. There may be some other cheaper 35mm options out there. This one here isn't the one for you. So to answer the question, does it suck? Well, I'm sure you've made your own judgment calls based on the sample footage and photos that I've shown here today, but my personal opinion, I think for the price, it is a very good lens. Now, I reviewed a super cheap 25 or 35mm lens. It was like 25 or 30 bucks, but there was no aperture where it really sharpened up. It always kind of had like a hazy, swirly blur, and it was very cheap build quality. If that lens there was worth its price, then this one here is easily worth its price. It's about triple the cost, but it's triple as good. It's 3 times as good. So again, if you're interested in purchasing this, check the links down in the description. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe if you're interested in more cheap lens videos. If you know of a cheap lens that you want me to check out, leave a comment down below and I will certainly read those and see if I can't get my hands on one of those lenses. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.